Good morning. It's great to see all of you here today. I'm actually going to cover two topics, one about American Red Cross emergency messages, and also about registering your baby with the local Italian government. That ultimately leads to you getting a birth certificate for your child. So emergency messaging for the Red Cross. You typically start an emergency message if you have some sort of emergency. Somebody in the States is ill and you're trying to get back, somebody's passed away, and anybody can start this emergency message by either coming to the Red Cross or by calling the toll-free number that should be in your packets, and if not, you can grab a business card afterwards. And this helps your command make a decision for emergency leave purposes. Now, why does this apply to having a baby? A lot of people think that if their husband is gone, they can start a Red Cross message in order to facilitate his return because they are in labor. The Red Cross does not provide in-labor emergency messages. We provide emergency messages 6 weeks, up to 6 weeks, between 4 and 8 weeks before the birth, verifying the due date. So if your spouse is deployed, in order for them to return, or potentially return, because ultimately it's always up to the command to decide this. We also provide emergency messages after the baby's birth if you're unable to get a hold of your spouse and let them know the baby's been born, to facilitate that. But we do not do in-labor messages. So if you think that your husband is going to be gone at training or whatever when you are expected to do, the best thing to do is to be in touch with his chain of command. Let them know when the due date is. If they need a note from the doctor, get a note from the doctor so that they can be tracking so that, hopefully everybody can be there for the birth. Are there any questions on emergency messaging?
Hello. My question is, does that apply for premature born a few weeks earlier? Because we had that case happen to us last time, and the Red Cross wouldn't send the message.
Right. So if it's just a premature birth and there's no complications, no emergency message would be sent. But if, for example, there are complications with the delivery and the mother's in ICU or the baby's in NICU, that would classify as an emergency and an illness. So we would send it under the heading of an illness situation, but not just because the baby was born early, but there could be a message after the birth saying the baby was born if you're unable to get a hold of the service number.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so for the second portion is registering your baby with the Comune. Italian law does require that your baby be registered with the Comune, which is the local government, within 10 days of the baby's birth. That includes weekends. So most of you don't speak Italian, so what the Red Cross does is we provide a translator to go down with you to register the baby downtown and then facilitate that process. So if your baby is born on post, so if you're in that little last group at the Vicenza Pavilion, they will provide you a piece of paper that fills out after the baby's birth that will get faxed to the Red Cross that has basic information on how to get a hold of you, some information about the baby, and then we contact you on what your appointment time is to go get the baby registered. If your baby is born at San Bortolo's, you must contact the Red Cross because San Bortolo's does not notify us of the birth. So in everybody's packet, there should be information about how to reach the Red Cross, and if not, grab a business card. And so the best thing to do is to call us, preferably within 24 to 48 hours, but if your baby is born on a Friday night, Monday morning is fine. And let us know that there's been a birth so we can get a translator to have an appointment with you to go down and do that registration. So San Bortolo's, it is on you to contact us, at least at this time, until we're able to have San Bortolo's notify us of a birth. So please make sure that's done. If you don't have your baby registered within 10 days, you can be fined. You can potentially be jailed. This is also kind of the first step in the process of all the paperwork to come. So what you get when you go downtown to the local community to register the baby is you should get around 5 copies of a registration document, both in Italian and then an international version. Those are the documents that you will take to the passport office, to the Soggiorno office, to get social security cards, to get the certificate of birth abroad. So they're not quite technically a birth certificate, but they're needed so that you can get your American birth certificate equivalent. When you come for your appointment with the Red Cross, you need to bring the service member's ID, passport, a statement of birth that you should receive from San Bortolo's or from the Vicenza Pavilion, and also your original marriage certificate. If the service member is not available for you're off at training or whatnot, please make sure that your spouse has a copy of the front and back of your ID card. Additionally, if you have your baby up at Aviano or somewhere else, currently they are in charge of helping you get your baby registered. So up at Aviano, they currently have their patient liaisons help you register, and they do that 2 days a week. So it could potentially be that you may have to wait up at Aviano extra days or return to Aviano within that 10-day period to get the baby registered, depending on when your baby is born. Are there any questions on this process? Yes.
We just had our baby delivered in March, and we were able to complete the registration process with your assistance. But for families who will be reporting to Aviano, for example, or delivering in different regions, I know you said they have a liaison to help with the registration process, but is there some sort of region where the baby will be registered? In other words, my husband went and completed the process in downtown Vicenza. Will the families who go up to Aviano have to complete the registration process in Aviano with the liaison up there?
Yes, so if your baby is born up at Aviano, you are at this time required to register your baby up at Aviano's local commune. Until their commune and our commune agree to allow the babies to be registered here, the rule is that for Americans, the baby needs to be registered with the commune in which the baby was born. So their patient liaisons at their hospital are actually the ones who assist with the process, not the Red Cross there. And they'll be the ones that work with you to set up the appointment, which they usually do twice a week in order to facilitate the baby registration there. And then you'll be able to continue the rest of the process of obtaining a passport, soggiorno, and all of those documents here in Vicenza. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.